Thank you, Chad. Thank you so much. Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Well, I want to help you with that. Well, first of all, I want to say that I'm so impressed that a church is doing business training. I mean, how cool is that? You know, that you guys as small business owners, you have so much influence in what you do every day with your clients and with your employees that why shouldn't the church be equipping the business community, right? So give Gateway a big hand clap. All right. When I ask you how you're doing, I'm going to help you with the answer, all right? My name's Howard Partridge, and my company name is Phenomenal Products. So when I ask you how you're doing, the answer is phenomenal. That's right. Mr. Zig Ziglar said that you are what you are and where you are because of what has gone into your mind. You can change what you are and where you are by changing what goes in your mind. How many of you know that you're phenomenal? Right? You're created to be phenomenal, to do phenomenal things, and have a phenomenal life. In fact, Mr. Zig Ziglar said you're born to win, designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, endowed with the seeds of greatness. After all, God don't make no junk, right? So the thing is, what I'm going to share with you tonight is not only how to build a phenomenal business, but how many of you know that what goes into your mind is going to determine what you actually do. And many times, unfortunately, as believers, we've been taught that we can't be successful. We've been taught that we can't have a successful business. So we're going to turn that around tonight because you're born to win. And the thing is that you're born to win in every area of life. God doesn't want you to struggle in certain areas. He doesn't want you to be broken in debt. You don't have to be a slave to your business. And tonight, I'm going to share with you how to stop being a slave to your business and transform it into a predictable, profitable, turnkey operation. How many business owners do we have in the house tonight? Raise your hand. Raise it high. Be proud. Okay. All right. The thing is I want to ask you this question. This might be the most important question that you've ever been asked as a business owner. Do you remember why you went into business for yourself to start with? Was it to make a lot of money? Or was it really to be your own boss, to chart your own course, have a little more free time? Yeah, right. The brutal reality of most small business owners' lives, you feel like a slave to the business, very little family time, business consumes your mind 24/7, major stress, no real freedom. You feel like you have a job instead of a business, and your day is consumed putting out brush fires. How many of you know what I'm talking about, right? I know what that's like. I've been there, done that. I'm originally from L.A., Lower Alabama. And my wife doesn't laugh at my jokes either, so it's okay. But I grew up on welfare in Mobile, Alabama. There were 7 kids crammed in a little 600-square-foot shack, and the roof on that house was so bad that every time it rained, we had to get out all the pots and pans to catch the leaks. My mother fed us on $100 a month from the welfare department. I don't care when that was. It just wasn't a lot of money. When you grow up in an environment like that, what are you likely to turn out like? As Chad shared, I was 18 years old, got kicked out of the house. I deserved it, and I had no money. I scraped up $39.95 for a Greyhound bus ticket to Houston, Texas, and I arrived in Houston, Texas with literally 25 cents in my pocket. I became a waiter, and I worked in all these restaurants, and it was nice doing that, but I always wanted to have my own business. I just didn't have any money. And then I met my wife, Denise Cagette Antoinette Pinella. Now that's Italian. And she's from New Jersey, and I'm from where? Lower Alabama. This is going to be a good match, right? So I go to get married to my wife, Denise, in New Jersey, and there was a friend of the family, same age as me, 23 at the time. He was tooling around a little red Mercedes convertible, and that got my attention. I said, I want to know what that guy does, and I want to know if it's legal. Well, it turns out he was a business owner, and how many of you know that when you marry into an Italian family, you don't get wedding presents? What do you get? You get money, you get cash. We got $3,000 in cash and wedding money, and I got back to Houston, and I spent all of that money starting my first business out of the trunk of my car. My wife was really thrilled about that, let me tell you. And for the next 13 years, I struggled in many ways. I made good money, but I worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was a slave to that business. And in 1997, I learned 2 secrets that changed my life. I read a book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber, and I learned that you got to have systems in your business, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is systems. There's got to be a certain way to run that business. How many of you have heard the term work on the business instead of just in the business? I was having a conversation, Taylor, where's Taylor? I was having a conversation with Taylor about that earlier, and the thing is that a business can be overwhelming, can it? Okay, and you probably feel that. How many of you would say, I feel like a slave to my business? Well, when you get done tonight, you're going to feel worse. You know, I travel around the world. People ask me, I tell them what I do, and you a motivational speaker? I said, no, I'm a demotivational speaker. When I get done with people, they cry. But how many of you know that when after you cry, you're ready to make a change, right? After you see what the problem, you know, people change out of desperation or inspiration. So I hope that after you get a little desperate tonight, that you'll get inspired to see what you can do. And by the way, since we're in the house of God, what God wants to do through you and what God wants to do through your business. You know how many lives you could touch through a small business? It's a phenomenal opportunity. How are we doing tonight? Phenomenal. All right. Well, as Chad also said, I get to serve with the Zig Ziglar Corporation. I mean, what a phenomenal man he was, and to be business partners with Tom. Tom even drove me over here, you know. It's like I had the honor of Tom, you know, driving me. I was like, wow, this is nice. But then I realized why he did that, because last week when I was here, I wrecked a rental car. You know, it's like he's driving to make sure that we get there safe, right? I ran into a pole in a parking lot. Anyway. So my last class had a lot of fun with that one, let me tell you. Anyway, so I started that business, and after I learned those two secrets, I'm going to share what the second secret is in just a minute. But the first one is you got to have systems in your business. When I realized that and started working on this business, I transformed that business into a multi-million-dollar business, as Chad said. And I have a phenomenal team that love their work. It's a turnkey business so that I can do what I love. And by the way, a little clue for us, what I'm called to do. Yeah. I'm called to do this, right? What's your name? Paul. Paul, thank you, Paul. You know, God created you for a reason. And I finally realized that this is my calling. This is what I'm supposed to do. Became the exclusive small business coach for Ziglar and the first Ziglar Legacy trainer, and now I help Tom run the business, which is all great. This is one of my teams. I have a service company, much like many of you, in Houston, and then this is my coaching and training team here. In fact, 2 years ago, the granddaughter, the proud granddaughter of Zig Ziglar, Tom's daughter, joined my team, and she's amazing. So she helps me with all my work with Ziglar and Alexandra, and so they finally just adopted me. They said, we're never going to get rid of this guy, so we might as well just adopt him. Anyway, this is my phenomenal wife, Denise Conjet, Antoinette Pinella, Partridge, and have 7 published books. I'm working on my 8th one right now. I've had some pretty cool people say some nice things about me, John Maxwell, Michael Gerber, Dave Ramsey, but here's what I'm most proud of. I'm most proud of the people that we've helped. The small business owners that have grown their revenue, which this is great. This is a young couple, and they were struggling, but now they have a thriving business, and their lives are being changed. How many of you know that when your business isn't working, it affects your family, right? When it affects your finances and your family, then life isn't so phenomenal. So we're here to fix that tonight. The second lesson that I learned that I want to share with you tonight is going to be the first thing that you're going to fill out in your handout. I got a handout there for you. It has my book cover on the front of it. If you'll open that up, make sure that everybody has a pen. This is going to be, I'm going to share with you the greatest business lesson that I've ever learned. I've had a lot of phenomenal experiences, and I'm telling you right now, if you get this one, everything changes. You can get this one lesson, everything changes. And I consider it to be the greatest business lesson that I've ever learned, and it is this: your business exists for one reason and one reason only, and that is to be a vehicle to help you achieve your life goals. To be a vehicle to help you achieve your life goals. In fact, this is what got me in the last chapter of Zig Ziglar's very last book. Tom wrote a chapter in that book called Born to Win for Business Leaders, and it was based around my quote. How cool is that, right? I mean, very cool. Tell me your name. Paul, right? Okay. I try to remember names. How many of you know that Dale Carnegie said the sweetest sound to any person in the language is the sound of their own name, right? Joanna, is that true? Yeah. Carl, is that true? Yes. Okay, perfect. All right. So if your business exists for one reason only, and that is to be a vehicle to help you achieve your life goals, then you better have some life goals, right? In other words, you need to have a vision for your life. So what I have on the screen right here is, could somebody do me a favor and get, oh, we don't have shades on this side, do we? Okay. All right. So the question is, this is Zig Ziglar's Wheel of Life. There's 7 core areas of life on here. Family, mental, financial, spiritual, career, personal, physical. Which one of these areas were you created to be unsuccessful in? God didn't create you to lose, right? You weren't born to lose in any of those areas. Were we created to be unhealthy? No. Now, our sin nature and the fallen state that our world is gives us disease. We can't do anything about that except for pray and hopefully expect a miracle. He didn't create us to be broken in debt. I mean, speaking of money, can we talk about money in the church? How much money are you supposed to have? More than enough. Enough for what? That's right, to reach your life goals, to reach your life vision. Jesus didn't own anything, but there was a mission involved, and money was required for the mission. If money wasn't involved in the mission, there wouldn't have been a money bag to be stolen by Judas, other than to fulfill prophecy. So the question then becomes, how successful on a scale of 1 to 10 are we supposed to be on every area of life, on every one of these spokes, on a scale of 1 to 10? As much as it depends on us, right? I can't change my wife, but if I'm, in fact, she's Italian. I found that out pretty quickly in the marriage, if you know what I mean. But the thing is, you can't change someone else, but if you change, you open the door for them to change, right? So if you are doing what you're supposed to do, you're showing up like you're supposed to do, then you can score a high score. I had a friend, his name was Ray Davis, and he suffered from MS, and at the end of his life, he was just all gnarled up. He couldn't move anything but his lips, and you couldn't understand what he said unless you knew him real well. But the thing is he did everything that he could. He did everything that he could. I give him a 10 plus. In fact, a phenomenal life is, on a scale of 1 to 10, is borderline 11. Here's why. Because when God is in the middle of that wheel, and when God's in the middle of your life, how many of you know he'll do exceedingly abundantly more than you could ever ask, think, or imagine? That's my life. Right? Can I preach? Paul, can I preach? Okay. Is this your wife?
Yes.
What's your name? Yvonne, nice to meet you. You from the UK?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. We got to talk about that. All right. So the reason I start there is because how many of you would agree that your small business can have a dramatic impact on your personal life? Is that true?
Yes.
Now, think about this for a second. When you understand that and you take your business where it needs to go, it can have a phenomenal positive impact on your life. I mean, God can really use your business to make a difference. Right? You don't have to struggle. How many of you would just go ahead and admit that most of our struggles are brought on by ourselves? Right? We got what Zig Ziglar called a little stinking thinking. We need a checkup from the neck up, right? Which, by the way, that stinking thinking leads to hardening of the attitudes. God wants us to have joy in our life. He wants us to enjoy what it is that we do. Yes, there's going to be struggles. There are going to be struggles, but once you learn the business skills, then it becomes easier. Success is simple. It's just not easy. It's not always easy, but it's simple, and I'll share with you the simple steps. So Tom calls me up when he's writing this book, and he said, hey, we got this Wheel of Life at Ziegler, and have you ever done a business wheel? And I had done one in our business planning, and he and I started working together, and we came up with these 5 things that we're going to take you through these systems as we go. First of all, you have to have what I call GPS, goals, plans, and systems. In other words, you and your team. How many of you have team members? Let me see your hands. Okay. You and your team, you need to understand what the goal is. You have to have a roadmap. You have to have a plan to get there. And then you have to have systems in your business so that you don't have to recreate it all the time. You don't have to redo it every time. You don't have to retell it every time. It's just the way that we do it. So the 5 systems of the vehicle are, first of all, phenomenal leadership systems. Second is marketing. Third is sales. 4 is operations, and 5 is administration. I'll share with you what those mean as we go along. Leadership, marketing, sales, operations, administration. So let's, by the way, there are 3 things that are required for a successful small business. First of all, you got to have systems, because when you grow, there has to be a documented way of doing things. Otherwise, you spend too much time trying to tell somebody what to do, and you're making it up all the time, and it relies on you all the time. People are waiting for you to make a decision. You need to be able to empower your team to make a decision because they have systems. Number 2 is phenomenal people. Now, how many of you know that every human being on the planet is phenomenal? But some people don't know about it, right? They don't know they're phenomenal. So what my job is, everywhere I go, they say, how are you doing? And I say, what do I say? I'm phenomenal, and so are you. Oh, thank you. Do you know why you're phenomenal? Because God made you and everything, right? God made you, right? Everything that God makes is phenomenal, right? So I started working with Ziegler, and we had a little bit of a branding problem because when Mr. Ziegler was here with us on the earth in the flesh, you'd ask him how he was doing, and he would say better than good. You know why he said that, right, Paul? He said that because, most people, when you ask them how they're doing, what do they say? Good. So no, I'm doing better than good. So we were like, okay, are we going to go with better than good, or are we going to go with phenomenal? Maurice, what are we going to go with, right? So here's what we came up with. You ready for it? Better than phenomenal. So how are we doing tonight? There you go. All right. Okay. So then we got to have leadership. You got to hire, what I mean by phenomenal people is people who have the right attitude. You can teach them the skills. They're willing to learn. They want to grow. They're hungry to grow. They're humble. I follow Patrick Lencioni, and he wrote a book called The Ideal Team Player that said the ideal team player is humble, they're hungry, and they're smart. People smart, right? How many of you know if you don't hire the right person that nothing else is going to work, right? So one part of leadership is understanding how to hire the right person, put the right person on your team, all right? How many of you would agree with this statement that everything rises and falls on leadership? Is that true? Well, if that's true, then the question is, what is leadership? John Maxwell says that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. I think that's in your book, influence. How do you gain influence in someone else's life? Is by adding value to them. Mr. Zig Ziglar said this. He said, you can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what it is that they want. How many of you know that that's probably the greatest leadership quote ever, right? I never heard your dad say, call that a leadership quote. Maybe he did. I don't know if he did or not. But that's got to be like the greatest leadership quote ever. In fact, when Mr. Ziegler was with us, I used to tell him, you stole that from Jesus. Because Jesus said, give and it'll be given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And he said, oh, well, I know him personally, so that'll be all right. Yeah. Oh, he was quite the man. Dale Carnegie said, leadership is enlisting the willing cooperation of others to achieve a goal. A couple of key words there. What is the goal? What are they responsible for? What is their job description? What kind of results do you want them to get? What are the values that they need to live by? What's the mission? The fact is that you have to communicate that to them, and you have to spell out the goal. How many of you know that people will do what you want them to do when you're there, but the key to leadership is they'll do it even when you're not there. They'll do it just as well. That's the key. In fact, Dwight Eisenhower said this: leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because he or she wants to do it. Why do they want to do it? Because you've added so much value to them. You have loved them. I have a book called The Power of Community that I'll talk about in just a minute. I have two of my books available here tonight, but one of them is called The Power of Community. I won't talk too much about it tonight, but I share the 6 things that phenomenal leaders do. One of them is they love them. Love your people. Love them. I love my employees. I tell them every single day, every time that I talk to them, I tell them how much I love them. See, because the truth is that every human being on the planet has a longing for belonging. We're all created for community. God lives in community. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, perfect community, right? And the thing is that people want to belong to something that's making a difference. I have a kid. He's 36 now, but he started with me when he was 17 years old. My age, he's still a kid, right? His name is Santiago. He started with me when he was 17 years old, and he was going to go to school. He was going to school, and he was working part-time. He decided to stay on my team because he saw the difference that he was making in other people's lives through the work that we do. And now he's my right-hand man. He can teach anything that I teach. He's a phenomenal coach. He's an amazing family man. He's a phenomenal human being. My definition of leadership is that leadership is effectively communicating your vision. Effectively communicating your vision. How many of you know sometimes the vision is a little bit easier than the communication part? Anybody tried to communicate effectively with email? I mean, I've been trading emails with my team all day long, and at least once today, I was like, I don't understand. I'm confused. Well, of course, because we're pretty much just giving little bits of information while we're distracted by all these other kind of things. Anybody tried voice texting? Yeah, that could be a disaster, right? And you have to redo it. It ends up taking more time. So the vision part is usually the easier part, but the communicating part is a little bit more difficult. I want to show you a model. I hope you're familiar with it. If you're not, I want you to dig in and learn this because I've seen it change lives. I've seen it change cultures. I've seen it save marriages. We know that God did that, but he uses tools, right? This is a phenomenal tool. It's called the DISC model of human behavior. Many of you are familiar with it. So some people are more outgoing. In other words, your internal pace is revved up. How many of you wake up in the morning, I got things to do, I got people to meet, right? So like your internal pace, your internal motor is revved up. I don't understand Hertz. Last week I wrecked a minivan, and today they gave me a Dodge Challenger. That thing rumbles on idle. And the last time I had one of those, I was traveling in Charlotte, North Carolina. My first stop was the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. And the guard at the gate, he looks at that car and he goes, is that thing as fast as it looks? I was like, I don't know yet. I had to repent later on, okay? Anyway, so some people are outgoing, some people are more reserved. How many of you, your internal pace is a little more on idle? Not good or bad, right or wrong, just you're a little more reserved. You're not going to be the first person to step up, right? So this is how God made us, right? So some people are outgoing, some people are reserved, some people are task-oriented, and some people are people-oriented, right? So if you're outgoing and task-oriented, you might be what we call dominant style or D. Dominant, direct, demanding, decisive, determined. You get things done. How many of you would probably say, I'm primarily wired that way? All right? You make decisions. You like to act fast, right? And over here we have our inspiring type, or I for short, outgoing, love people, inspiring, influencing, impressionable, interactive, impressive, interest in people. You love people. How many of you would say that that's your primary style right there? Okay? Everybody's a combination, but we have a primary style. And then our supportive type, or S for short, is reserved and people-oriented. You're supportive, stable, steady, sweet. You go with the status quo, sometimes shy. And I know that some of you won't raise your hand, and so I'm not going to ask you. And in fact, there's some people in here, you're not going to raise your hand no matter what I ask you, and that's okay. All right. And then some people are reserved and task-oriented, cautious, or C for short, cautious, calculating, competent, conscientious, contemplative, and careful. How many of you know that we need all these gifts, all these profiles on our team, right? And to make the world go round. But here's the point I want to share with you tonight. Leadership is effectively communicating. Those are 4 different languages right there. So what if I'm married to someone who has a completely different language than I have? If I go to another country that speaks a different language and I don't speak the language, I'm going to have a hard time getting around. Some of us are married to someone who speaks a different language. Some of us have people on our team, partners, employees, team members. How many of you recognize a pattern here in your family or in your business, right? The thing is that when you learn this model, and I have a whole report on that in my book, The Power of Community, that you can learn to speak their language, right? The whole philosophy here is you can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what it is that they want. So if Paul's a D, man, I'm going to be speaking fast, walking fast. Hey, why don't we talk? Yeah, right? Paul, is that how it goes? Right. If I'm communicating with an I, let's make it fun. If I'm communicating with an S, how can I help you? Part of the team. If I'm communicating with a C, I'm going to give them all the details. I'm going to listen to all their questions. I'm going to go slow. You see what I mean? These are 4 different languages. And get this, once you get an assessment, you'll find that there are 41 different blends. Leadership is effectively communicating your vision. Second, I'm not going to be able to get into all of these systems here deep, but I want to touch on each one. And we're going to do something really powerful tonight, and that is I'm going to take you through an assessment of each of these 5 systems that will reveal where your business is today compared to a phenomenally successful turnkey business. And that's what's going to make you cry is the gap. But guess what? Once you learn how to do that, I mean, you can do it, right? So you'll at least know where you're going. So marketing is everything that you do to attract prospects to your business. Phenomenal marketing delivers a meaningful experience that engages, that educates, and entertains. All right? So how many of you know that the experience that your company delivers is what's going to set you apart? So listen, that's what we need to be talking about in our marketing. In fact, let me give you just 3 marketing techniques here. First, let's fill this in. A phenomenal marketing system is a group of working parts that duplicates results consistently. So when you find something that works, a strategy that works, make it a regular part of doing business. How many of you have used a marketing strategy before and you forgot about it or got distracted and got away from it and said, why did we do that, right? We get busy and we forget. You shouldn't do marketing when you need customers. When's the best time to plant a pear tree? Yeah, 10 years ago? When's the next best time? Right now. And then when you find a strategy that works, you turn it into a system. This is just what we do every day. This is what we do every week. This is what we do. And then we expand it. Okay. Now, I want to give you just 3 strategies real quick. How many of you need more clients or more prospects or you want to grow your business? Okay. All right. Number 1, you need a list. You need to make sure that you have all of your prospects on a list so that you can have an email newsletter, so that you can mail out to them. And so everybody that you meet, because marketing is attracting prospects, right? So you want to have a large funnel of prospects on your list so that you're talking to a lot of people at one time and you're not just one-to-one selling. Does that make sense to everybody here? The second one is the secret of record sales and profits. And it's called referral marketing. How many of you have had some kind of company or individual with a large network or your existing client base that, or a professional of some type that have referred your business in the past? Okay. Ma'am, what is your name?
Andrea.
Andrea. So Andrea, can you give me an example?
Sure. I'm in the healthcare space.
Okay.
And so I have, my company has organically grown from just surgeon referral to surgeon referral.
Okay.
And now it's just grown into this company, so.
So what would be a good referral source for you?
So for instance, they would, if it's a podiatrist in Missouri, he just connected me to a podiatrist in New Mexico.
Yes. So my marketing plan becomes, how many of you know that all of business and all of life is about relationships? Is that true? Yeah. So my marketing plan is to meet and build a relationship with as many podiatrists, did I say that right? Podiatrists as possible,
Yes.
right? Someone else, give me another example. Yes, sir. What's your name?
My name is Sean Turner.
Sean, okay.
Hey, Mark.
You guys friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a medical insurance agency, so I build relationships with CPAs, professionals, attorneys, and then also get a lot of referrals from clients.
Yes, I'll get to clients in just a second. You said CPAs, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's Sean?
Correct.
Sean Turner. Okay, so Sean says that CPAs. So what I can do is then I can start marketing to CPAs. One CPA knows another CPA, knows another CPA, knows another CPA. And guess what? They have associations and they have meetings. And by the way, you can visit them at their office and you can add value to them and you can help them and you can support them. That is the way to grow your business. And I mean, I build businesses and we don't spend a dime on advertising. Nothing. That's how we do it. And then the third way, just a little tip that I'm going to give you, is stay in touch with your clients, because where your best referral is going to come from, usually in most businesses, from your existing clients. So this is why you want to have that email list is, you know, you have a prospect list, but once they become a client or a customer, then you stay in touch with them so that they will repeat that process, refer other people to you, and maybe use some of your other services. Does that make sense? Okay. In fact, I'm going to give you a list. I'm going to take you through 5 different assessments here on each area of business. We're going to start with marketing. And so you're going to get 2 things here. One is you're going to see a list of systems that you need to have in place, 10 marketing systems that you need to have in place right now or as soon as possible. And you're going to be able to rate how they're working right now. Rate it from a scale of 1 to 10. You get a 1 just for looking at it. And then 10 if it's working really great in your business, if it's phenomenal. And so I want you to rate it real quick, and I want you to do this very quickly, because the faster we get through this, the more time I'll have to add value to you tonight, because we got a hard stop at a specific time tonight. So go ahead and just the marketing assessment, D's, high D's, just the marketing assessment, okay? 1 to 10. Okay, there we go. I know who you are because I are one. All right, everybody done with just the marketing one? Couple questions for you. How many of you could use some help in the marketing department? Okay. How many of you would agree that if you could score a high score on all 10 of those items, you'd have a pretty phenomenal marketing system? Yes? Yes. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next spoke, which is sales. And there's a difference between marketing and sales. All right. Now we have a whole 2-day course on this, so I can't. I only have a little bit of time. So this is not in your handout. But the difference between marketing and sales: marketing is everything that you do to attract prospects to your business. Sales is everything that you do to convert them into paying customers. Let me give you an example. We were in the market for a Honda for my son years ago. And it was my job to go and get that Honda and buy that car. And I get on the Honda website, and they had a little opt-in on there. By the way, today in 2019, you really should have an opt-in on your website where people can give you their name and their name and email address so that you can communicate with them, and you trade something of value. For example, we have a piece of paper out there, or you can just go on my website, howardpartridge.com. You can put in your name and your email, and we'll send you free business tips, and we'll invite you to our conferences and things like that. We have a conference coming up here in Dallas on May 1st. We have a full-day boot camp. So if you like this, we're going to get in all of this on day 1, and then we have a Ziegler conference May 2nd and 3rd. So anyway, you'll get all the information on that, free tips to help you with your business, and you should have that. Honda had that. And in this case, you put in your phone number. They call me within like 3 minutes, right? I pick up the phone, and this nice young lady convinced me to get out of my comfort zone on a Saturday afternoon, go down to the dealership today, like they're going to run out of Hondas today or something like that. And I found myself driving up there to the dealership. And when I got there, I couldn't talk to her because she's in the internet marketing department. And what unfolded before me did not resemble sales. I've been around sales for a long time. I've been studying Mr. Zig Ziglar, the master of sales, for many years. These guys didn't have a clue. I did buy a brand new Honda, but I didn't buy it from them. And guess what? They could have had a customer for life. I would be the easiest person to sell, because what corner am I in up there? D. I want to get in, get out. Financing is no problem. Just let me sign a piece of paper. I'll come pick it up later. I don't care how much it costs. I'm not going to negotiate. Just, it's a done deal. How can you mess that up? What's that?
They messed it up.
Well, they did, yeah. But by not thinking about sales, right? Not training their people to understand sales. That salesperson could have asked me my name and remembered it, right, Sean? Andrea? Yes? Okay. All right. Carl, you with me? Okay. And they could have recognized that I'm like talking fast, moving fast. You want to bless a D? Hey, how about if we talk while we walk? Yeah. Right? Oh, yeah. Okay. I probably said that earlier, so sorry for repeating myself. But anyway, easiest sale ever, customer for life. I know a lot of people. Guess what? If you're good, I'm going to be referring you. Did you say your first name is Yvonne? Yvonne. Did that crack you up or what? Or he cracks you up?
It's so true, the walking. Come on, let's go.
I know. Is that what he likes to do? Yeah. Okay. All right. So I don't have time to teach you this. You need to come to one of our boot camps. But let's go through the assessment, and you'll have the system down, what you need to do. Okay? 1 to 10, real quickly. So how about the sales department, folks? Can we use a little help in that area too? Okay. All right. The next one is operations. Operations is everything that you do to serve your clients, right? So at some point we have to actually do the work, right? So we communicated the goal to the team. We attracted hopefully the right prospect. We closed the sale. Now we got to deliver the most phenomenal service experience. Several years ago, in fact, it was 2012, it was Thanksgiving Day, and Tom and I were set to leave the next day to go to Australia and to teach our one-day systems boot camp in 5 cities in 7 days. This is a full day boot camp, in 5 cities in 7 days. This is going to be a haul. Tom sends me a text and he says, I got a little problem. We're heading to the emergency room with Dad. I'm like, keep me posted. Later on, he says, I may have to meet up with you later on. I said, no problem. I'll head over there and, you'll be right behind me, whatever. I get there. Dad's not doing any better. And he said, can you do the boot camps by yourself? And I said, absolutely. There's no problem. Mainly because I do about 87% of the work. And as you can clearly see, Tom just sits there and watches me work. So, yeah, right. That's true. So I'm trying to find out how Mr. Ziegler's doing. I do Brisbane, then I go to Sydney. I mean, you show up with your bags packed, you go to the airport, you have dinner at the airport, you fly to another city, do it all over again. Third city was Melbourne, and I got radio silence. Next day, I wake up and Mr. Ziegler has passed away. Yeah. And so I finished the tour. One of the cities was Perth, Australia, which was 4.5 hours one day. So this was like a haul. And I had booked 4 days on the Great Barrier Reef, this beautiful island. I mean, literally, when I landed there, I thought that some little guy in a white suit was going to come running out. The plane, I mean, like it looked like Fantasy Island. The website was beautiful. The sales process was seamless. It was so easy. I was at first I was excited to go, but now I'm like, man, I just need to just like lay on this beach for 4 days. And I wasn't on the ground very long before I realized that even though Australia was great, the Great Barrier Reef was great, that the resort on this island, that this was not going to be a phenomenal service experience. Not one time did I ever hear them call a guest by name. What's the first thing you should do when someone lands on that island? Do you mind if I ask you what your name is?
Tracy.
Tracy? Nice to meet you, Tracy. Tracy, what brings you to the island? Where do I start? Maybe you're celebrating your anniversary, right? So you have to connect with their emotional state. Every single business, there's some fear, there's some excitement, there's some emotion, and you need to connect with that. You call them by name, Tracy, right? Call them by name, and then you cater to that, right? There's 3 E's of experience that I teach. One is engagement, right? They hustled people off the plane and just, it was just like it wasn't. How many of you know that good is the enemy of great? It just was just not what it didn't match up to the phenomenal product that they had, right? So train your people to be phenomenal service people. Hire phenomenal people that are happy, that love serving people, and then create systems. This is step 1. This is step 2. A great book I read many years ago was called The Experience Economy. Work is theater and every business is a stage. Your service experience is like a theater production. This is what we do first. This is what we do next. This is our costume, our uniform. This is our script. It's just laid out perfectly to make people feel a certain way. So engagement, education. They had that. It was, you could do reef walks and there's a bird sanctuary and they had a little bit of that. I wasn't interested in all that. I just wanted to finish my book. In fact, this book right there, The 5 Secrets of a Phenomenal Business, that was the book I was finishing on that island. And so I went around the island and I shot 9 videos on the most phenomenal service experience ever. Basically what I wasn't getting there. Anyway, I don't mention, there it is. I didn't know I had that slide in there. Is that a phenomenal product or what? Yeah. Wow. Okay, so let's do our operations assessment 1 through 10 very quickly.
What were the 3? What was the 30?
Oh, I'm sorry. The 30 was entertainment. Okay, when you invite somebody over to dinner at your house, what do you call it? Entertainment. So you're going to entertain people. You're going to serve them. That's another word. But serve doesn't start with E, so, entertain. Work is theater and every business is a stage. It's an experience that you're creating for them. Okay? 1 through 10, operation systems. Okay, the next one is called administration. And administration is everything that you do to track your stats. This is the cockpit of a jet, a commercial jet. Your business is a vehicle, and a passenger jet can take a lot of people a long way without stopping. You get to choose based on your life goals what kind of vehicle you need. And that's the importance of that lesson, is that you want to design your life first. What does God want you to do? What is your lifestyle supposed to look like? And then design your business around that. Does that make sense? That's why that's so important. And so then you need all these systems, but you don't necessarily need a big vehicle. You don't need a bunch of people. You get to choose that. But here's the fact. How many of you would agree that a business without a profit is just a hobby? How many of you don't have to show me your hands. Some of you aren't raising your hand anyway, so it's all right. This is just for your own use. If you don't know what your numbers are, how can you move those numbers? You have to be at what we call KFP, a known financial position. There's so many business owners that don't get their numbers until well after the month or the year is over. You can't change it. So one of the things that you want to do is get to where you're like this jet right here. How many of you know that they're getting constant feedback on the journey right there? Constant feedback, right? So if you have daily transactions, you should record those transactions every day. If you have, however often you serve your clients or bring in money, you should check your P&L weekly, right? So that you have a pulse on how your business is doing, all right? So I have a list for you of 10 things here. This one might really depress you if you're the typical small business. So let's go ahead 1 through 10, and we'll have prayer afterwards. And Teresa, right? She's a counselor, so you may want to see her after this assessment, all right? All right, we ready to move on? Yes? Okay. Now we're back to leadership, and I want to bring your attention to, again, the power of community, how phenomenal leaders inspire their teams, wow their customers, and make bigger profits. You see, every human being on the planet has a longing for belonging. They want to feel loved, they want to feel valued, they want to feel important. And when you create an experience where people feel loved, people feel valued, people feel important, they'll be inspired. You know that when you speak to people in their language and you care about them and you help them get what it is that they want and you encourage them that, hey, you can do this, you can take that promotion, you can move up to this, and you equip them. I love the name of this and what you guys are doing here. You're equipping one another, and you train them. You help them to understand the DISC model of human behavior. You love them. You coach them. You see, a leader is a coach, and your team members are the players on your team, and you're the coach. And what you're doing is you're taking someone who has gifts and you're helping them develop those gifts. You're helping them get to where it is that they want to go. The word coach comes from originally the word carriage, so think about the old stagecoach, right? We think of a coach now as a sports team, and that's what a coach does. A coach takes your raw talent, and every single human being on the planet has a gift, and it's our job as a business leader to help them develop themselves and move them from where they are to where they need to be. And that's what the power of community is all about. And the three secrets, the three keys are support. That's helping them have, this is not on your handout, this little bonus. I got another bonus coming up in just a minute. Support, help them reach their goals. Encouragement, help them to know that they're phenomenal, that they're loved, that they have gifts, that they can go to the next level. And then accountability. How many of you in this room right now want to be a better person? Yeah, we all do. Guess what? All human beings do. And human beings were created to belong. We were created not only with a God-shaped void, but a people-shaped void. Every single one of us. And when you create that in your company, I'm telling you, it will truly be better than phenomenal. That's leadership. So let's do our leadership assessment. And then we're going to do something really fun. It'll be fun for some of us and not so fun for others, but it's all right. That's what community is about, right? You have a question? Yes, accountability.
Okay, I got support and accountability, but I didn't get
Encouragement is the second one. So support is helping, helping others have the things that they want to have. That might be information, it might be instruction, it might be physical help. How many of you could tell me where the term go the extra mile came from? Okay. What's your name? Ronnie. Ronnie. So what does the Bible say about that? Where did that term come from? Yeah. That's right. That's right. And so in that time, a Roman soldier could stop you on the street and have you carry his equipment, about 80 pounds worth, exactly a mile. That was law. So guess what most people did? At exactly 1 mile, and they walked back then. They could walk that off, brother. They knew exactly where it was. They would drop that pack. What do you think happens when you go that extra mile for somebody? And they know that you don't have to do that. What's that?
You get their attention.
You get their attention. What is it about this person? What's going on here? They might call you the most phenomenal boss in the whole world. You never know, right? Encourage them, because most people suffer from a poor self-image. But God said you're a phenomenal product, right, Ronnie? Right? So help them do the things that they don't believe that they can do. And then finally is accountability, and that's helping them become the person that they were created to be, which is success all by itself. Success is becoming the person you were created to be. Isn't that ironic? Okay, here's where the fun comes in. Maybe, maybe not. All right, so you total up all your numbers, and then you divide by 10, and you're going to end up with a number that probably has a decimal there, right? So if you totaled up 56 on one of these, then you divide by 10, it'll be 5.6. And what you're going to do, and I want you to do this very, very quickly, is you're going to find the corresponding spoke and circle that spoke on the wheel, and then you're going to connect the dots all the way around. Make sense? So go to your marketing assessment. Okay. Is it Gerald? Gerald, you like that, don't you? Huh? Okay, so if it's 5.6 on leadership, let's say you put a little circle between 5 and 6, and then let's say marketing is 4, then you circle that. Whatever it is, you circle the corresponding spoke from your assessment, and then you draw a line from each one. You see where I'm going with this, right? You're going to get a visual of your business right now compared to a phenomenally successful business. You like that, Yvonne? Okay. All right, go for it. Sooner we get this done, the more time we got for questions, which is not much. Okay, everybody got your wheel done? How many flat, you don't have to raise your hand, but how many flat tires are out there? Okay. How many of you have like a little small wheel, right? Okay, all right. Might be smooth, but it's slow, right? So the idea is this, little by little, you want to build these systems out, hire the right people, develop yourself as a better leader, which is happening in this group right here. But take 4 of those systems and start working on them. Get those done, then start working on some more. That's how we work, okay? How many of you enjoyed tonight? How many of you learned something? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. All right, so there's a sin that Mr. Ziegler talked about. It's called the sin of the desert. And the sin of the desert is whetting someone's appetite and then not telling them where the well is, okay? So I'm not going to commit that sin tonight, especially since we're in church. So if you liked what you heard tonight and you would like to get my books, I got 2 of my books available right out here. You don't have to put your credit card number on a form or anything like that. You just go to this special link right here, howardpartridge.com/gateway. Just do it right on your smartphone. Credit card out, or if you want to pay cash, you can. It's $40 for both books. I have them right here. I'll sign them for you before you leave. You just come and show me your receipt. If you don't have a smartphone, I have one that's kind of smart, I guess. And if I have enough juice, I can do it for you, okay? But if you'd like to take my books home, I have the 5 Secrets of a Phenomenal Business, so you'll be able to fill in all the blanks of, what we talked about tonight. And then the Power of Community is my whole leadership philosophy. And as Chad said earlier, I've owned a lot of businesses. I have 40 team members right now, plus we have almost 400 coaches around the world, 19 different countries, and have I've been able to lead a lot of people, let me just put it that way, and had a lot of experiences. So put all my leadership philosophy in that book. So you get both books for $40, no charge for the signature, okay? So just go to that link and then just come out. You don't even have to show me the receipt. Just tell me I trust you. Say I bought the books. I'll sign them for you. You can take them home right outside this room on that table. Yes or yes? Okay. All right, let me share the last thing with you, and then have maybe 5 minutes for questions? Or how are we doing? Are we ready to stop now? We're good. We're good? Okay. I tell you what, let's do this. I'll share this last thing with you. When you come out to get your book, we'll hang around. I know it's past Tom's bedtime, but we'll stay for a few minutes, answer whatever questions you have, and while you're getting your books, I'll be available for questions outside. Yes? Okay. All right. The number one reason that small businesses don't grow or do as well as they could is something I call FTI, failure to implement. Would you agree? Somebody said, ouch. Would you agree that if you could just get more done in your business, more of the right things done at the right time, you'd be more successful? And the reason that we do that is because we don't stay focused, we're not inspired, we don't have a vision, we're not organized, we don't have the training that we need, and the biggest thing is that we don't have the support community around us, all right? So you can get started with us by getting those books, and you'll be on my list, and I'll give you, some free tips. We'll invite you to some of our boot camps and things like that. Also, we have some of Tom's books out there. Choose to Win. He's got a brand new book out. Be sure to pick one of those up as well. So thank you all for having me tonight. Thank you very much. I enjoyed being with you. And we'll see you outside for your books. Thank you so much.